In this lab, you will be learning how to trim your models that we poured up previously. The supplies needed for this lab will be our PPE, our eyewear, mask, gloves, and a lab jacket. You will need mixing bowls so that you can soak your models, and then you will need your previous poured models, a pencil for marking the angles, and a lab knife. You also need your model trimmer, which should be located in your lab. Let's go over some model trim safety, and then we'll get started. So with the model trimmer, you turn it on and it has a blade that spins very fast. So please make sure that any dangling necklaces, earrings, hair are always pulled back, okay? Because once this machine grabs it, you could harm yourself. Eyewear, because little pieces of stone can break off and fly, so it's very important that you have on your safety eyewear at all times, especially when we are trimming. So to turn this on, there's going to be an on switch either on the right side or the left side. So turn on your model, and then there is going to be a water hose that feeds into your trimmer that should also be turned on. Okay, you should never trim without having your water on. It does accumulate a lot of dust if you trim without the water on. So let's go ahead and put our PPE on and we'll get started. Okay, students, so I'm going to start first by showing you how to take your models out of your impressions that we poured up previously. Okay, so if it can easily come out, then you do not need to use your lab knife. If it comes out fairly easy, then you can of course take your lab knife, and be careful because this is a real knife and it's sharp, and you can gently go around the edges to relieve it from the stone. Okay, so this is the lower. I will examine it to check for air bubbles and holes, and as you can tell, it's all blended, so it looks like one impression. Okay, you can't tell that I did 3 different mixtures on this. Let's take the upper. Same thing, if you need to use your lab knife to loosen the impression from the trays, you can. And then we'll examine this as well. And again, you cannot see any separation in the tray from the base. Okay, so I already have previous soaked models. You want to soak your models. It allows the water to absorb into the stone, making it just a little easier to trim. So we will place these to the side, and we will start marking for our impressions. So this is your lower. Okay, so our markings for this, so find your canine, and we are going to just mark all the way down to the very bottom of our model. Just one straight line down the center of your canine. We're going to do the center of the canine here. Mark all the way down to the bottom of your impression. On this one, we're going to go to the very last molar that we have, and we're going to put one just kind of off to the side. And then I'm going to take that all the way down as well to the end of my model. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay, and then the back, I will show you how to trim the back. So those are our 4 markings for the lower. Okay, now let's mark for the upper. Now the upper is going to have a few more because the cut on this one's going to look a little different than our lower. So we're going to start straight down the middle. So right between number 8 and 9. And I'm going to again mark all the way to the bottom of my model. I'm going to start at my canine and do the same thing right down the center. Okay, and then I'm going to do the other canine. And then I'm also going to mark the very last molar on each side. Okay, so let's move to the trimmer. So I'm going to turn my trimmer on, but I will not speak during that part because the trimmer does make a loud, it's very loud. So, but I will stop, turn the trimmer off, and discuss with you where we are in trimming. So let's turn it on, make sure our water is on. Okay, and I can hear my water going. There we go. Okay, so what I was doing was trimming straight across. Okay, I had it flush up against the grinder and I moved it back and forth in a back and forth motion. Okay, don't press hard against the grinder blade, you don't have to. Just press gently and in a back and forth motion, and it will, the grinder will do what it needs to do. So as you can see, I went straight across. So now I'm going to start cutting my angles, and this is the upper. So I'm going to start cutting my angles. So I'm going to turn my machine back on and trim a little bit more. Okay, let's see where we are now. So I have my two angles at the back. From my molar to my canine, that is a straight cut, but I have a point now, if you can see, at my canine. Okay, so now my next cut will be between my central, which is number 9, and the canine. The front, the upper will have a TP type point at it. Okay, and the lower will have a rounded shape on the front of it. So I'm going to start my grinder back, and then I'll bring it back to you and let you see what we have. Okay, so this is our upper with all of our measurements. Here's my point, my pyramid point, from my canine to my central, from my canine to my central on the other side, from my canine back to my molar, canine back to my molar, and the back angle shots. Okay, and place that back in our water. Now we will start with the lower, and I always start at the very back because that gives me my foundation. talk about the points that we have on this one. So I've cut straight across. I got my back angles. From my molar to my canine is a straight shot with the point being at my canine. Same thing here, from my molar to my canine. I got my angle here, and then I have a rounded shot. I'm going to make my angles just a little bit, bring them up just a little bit more here. There we go. Okay, we'll put them together. And we have our diagnostic cast.